Hi, and welcome to the Indie Music Podcast, the podcast for independent musicians and other audio professionals. We're your hosts. I'm Matt Denton, also known as Mojo of Ragged Birds Music. I'm a Bay Area mix engineer and recording artist. And Douglas Reynolds of Resonance Mastering, a mastering engineer in Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome to Indie Music Podcast, episode 214. Tonight, Doug and Matt talk about studio gear, dedicated or multi-purpose studio computer, guitar gear, live sound gear, and Doug gives an update on Asia, who has become the new studio dog in his studio. Enjoy the show.
Probably should hit record. Hey, you know, there's that, what's his name? Jason Gordon-Levitt. He has that really cool kind of entrepreneurial... It's like a collective. It's like a creative collective. And the name of it is Hit Record because he started it with some people and they were making little movies on their phones and stuff. Anyway, the problem with it and the problem with English is that when you read it, it looks like it's called Hit Record.
Oh.
And it sounds like it's supposed to be, you know, something associated with making pop music or something. I don't know. Boy, that's a tangent, right?
Yeah, English is a tough language.
It is a tough language. How are you doing, Doug?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing all right.
You have a good day?
It was a pretty good day. I can't complain.
Are you having like a deja vu type of feeling? I don't know why.
Yeah, a little bit. No, I actually volunteered at the school where my kids went today for a couple hours, getting desks set up. Things are opening back up here.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, I got to see some like teachers and staff that I haven't seen for a long time. My kids haven't been there for the better part of a decade now, but it's right down the street. It's just funny. You walk in the halls and like most of the things are the same and you feel like, oh, that could have been last month rather than, 8 years ago or whatever. It's so strange.
That's crazy. I used to do that too. I actually was like volunteer teacher's helper.
Yeah.
And I'd go in, and this was like kindergarten through second grade.
Yep.
It was really neat. I enjoyed that a lot at that time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. No, I mean, we basically almost lived at the school for like 10 years as all three kids went through there. We were room parents. I drove on many, many field trips. Helped out in the library. And I mean, yeah, we were kind of involved. We were involved. That's why I still know all these people. It's funny though. It's kind of weird to go back and also pretty cool because the older the kids get, the less the school kind of wants you around until finally they go to college and they don't care if they ever see you. They just want your money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a nice thing to do today.
Right on. So let's see, we were talking earlier about like studio gear. Well, we actually got into it last episode too about like dedicated studio gear and
well, yeah, because you were shopping for a new guitar amplifier, new tube amp for your studio.
Yeah.
So what you didn't tell me was what prompted that. What made you go, you know what? I need a new tube amp for my studio.
My JC77 has got some hiss in it.
Oh.
And I was recording the other evening, and it was really bothering me.
Huh.
And although I have other amps, I thought this was a good idea to spawn the action of getting a new amp.
Yeah.
So,
is that the Roland, the jazz chorus?
Yeah, I've got a JC77, and I bought it way back in the late 80s.
Okay.
Bought it new, and let's see.
I'm looking around.
I wanted... Yeah, sorry, I'm looking around.
I'm looking around too as you're saying that. I'm like, what amps did I buy new? I don't know.
I'm also feeling like my signal's really hot right now.
It is a little hot.
Let me level check. Is it okay?
It's okay. It's a little clippy, but it's all right.
Oh, I didn't change anything.
That's what you said last time.
But anyway, the JC77 is solid state, and I wanted to have something with some really nice, I'm hoping for just really warm cleans.
Right.
that'll make a nice pedal platform.
Yep.
But also be great for playing on my jazz guitars. And just be a really good like jazz and blues combo.
Yep.
Yeah. So I decided on an Epiphone. It's a Valve Junior, and it's like a little stack. And I get made fun of for this, but hey, testing.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm having some strange things happen in my headphones here, so it might just be my headphones. I'm checking to make sure they're plugged in okay. So sorry about that. But anyway, it's a all tube combo, and it doesn't even have a tone knob on it. It's nothing but an input jack and a volume knob. And it's a 5 watt out into a, what is it? It's an Eminence Lady Luck 12-inch, single 12-inch cabinet.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep. And I get made fun of for this because it's cute, man.
It is cute. It's super
cute. It's a really neat. It wasn't really what I was looking for. I was looking for like a Fender Champ or, one of the old tube style Champs, not the newer solid state or hybrids.
Right.
I really just I wanted tube pre's and tube power output stages and not hybrid or not all solid state, because I've got that. And I do have all tube as well, but that's my Marshall half stack.
Oh, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
For what you're thinking of.
Yeah. And I've got a Fender Blues DeVille, but it's not really suited. It's really loud,
Yeah.
It's got it's a 212 combo.
Oh, okay.
And I can't turn the volume up on that thing, past like 1 in the studio. I've got a little tiny practice amp, but it's solid state. And so I was like, well, I really can see a need here for a small practice tube amplifier. And so this is a little 5 watt guy. And I think it's smaller than what I think it is. I've been trying to get an idea of how big it actually is. I haven't ever seen it.
It's a little bigger than you think. The amp is smallish, but the cab is a little bigger.
Yeah. Well, the amp's about twice the size of like the little Yamaha lunchbox.
Right.
And, and that's not tiny, but I think it's going to be about like, I'm imagining it's about half the size of my Marshall head widthwise.
Yeah, that seems about right. It's smallish. Yeah, I thought it was funny because when you asked, that was on my short list. I had 3 that I was picking from. When I was looking for a similar thing some years ago, where I'm like, you know what, I can't be cranking my 65 watt PV because in a studio situation, unless you have like a dedicated room for your cabs and can do reamping or isolation or whatever, and keep it there and not have to worry about, microphone movement and reproduction. It's nicer to have a smaller amp for a studio because you can theoretically get bigger tones, is what I had heard. And so I was looking for something, and that was like number 3 on my short list. And the other one was the Bagheera. And then what I ended up buying was the VHT 5 watt, which actually is a little more versatile than I expected because it has a pull gain, like the volume knob. You can pull it up and it adds more gain.
Oh, does it?
I think I almost wish I went with the Bagheera, and I don't remember why I chose this one or didn't choose that one. I think I was hoping that this one had a headphone out, but they don't really do that. But yeah, it was a similar situation. And I do remember going down to Bananas in San Rafael and trying the Epiphone, and it's just so retro and cool. But I think I was shying away a little bit from having only the volume knob, and I was like, I don't know if I'm savvy enough to figure that out.
Now I'm like, does this Epiphone have a headphone? I don't think it does.
Most don't. That's rare.
I think it's got an input. It's got a volume knob, a power switch on the front, and then on the back, kind of underneath, it's got line outs, and it's got an extension cabinet out, and then the main cabinet. I think.
Yeah, I find that it's the solid state practice amps that tend to have a headphone out because it can interrupt the circuit and not cause any weirdness.
Yeah. But then this one's like what is it? An AX7 in the preamp and an EL84 in the power section, a 12 AX7, I mean. And, so it's just got a single tube pre and a single tube power stage. So it should be like relatively, inexpensive to maintain. I've got I've got spare 12 AX7s, and I got I think it's a 12 AX6, which is a little bit, I might actually swap that out. It's not quite as hot as the AX7 is. That's what it's actually called. I'm looking now. I've got a groove tube. It's an AT7.
Okay.
And I've got another one here.
It can be fun to swap out tubes and get a different sound.
Yeah, I've got the AT7, and I've got a tongue saw, which is a AT7W, and these have a little bit different quality to them. They're just not as hot as the AX7 is. So I might play with those a little bit, and just see, because overall I'm looking for just clean, quiet, warm, and it just when you've got that, then you can add any pedal in front of it and get whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking too with this guy. This is let's see. Oh, I thought I had a. Oh no, it's my other one that has a 12-inch. This has a 10-inch speaker, 12 AX7 preamp tube, and a 6V6 output tube. 6 watts max. But you know what? I was surprised at how loud, how loud it gets. There's a big difference between tube amp loud and solid state amp loud.
Yeah. Well, and just like wattage, if you look at it, in just amplification, I mean, 1 watt is, when translated into voltage to the speaker is loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 2 watts, so I mean, if you've got like a 20 watt amplifier, it's louder, it's more headroom, because that's really what you're talking about is headroom after that, because your listening levels are only going to take a couple watts or a little more, but the extra stuff that's there is for your headroom. It's also dependent on like if you're playing outside or whatever,
right,
in your space. But speaking like in the studio or in your bedroom or whatever, it's really all that extra wattage is headroom for dynamics.
That makes sense.
And it's nice to have. That's, it's what keeps you from clipping, is having that headroom. But, my Marshall is switchable between 50 and 100 watts. And I love the 50 watt setting on that thing because you can push it hard at lower volumes and get the same great tones out of it that you really have to, really crank it to get in the 100 watt setting, so the lower wattage amps are really cool for that.
Yeah. I think that's why they're popular for studio, because because they have more headroom, you can push them and get a wider range of sounds out of them at lower volumes. That's my understanding.
Yeah. I really like the Hughes and Kettner, those Tube Meister models.
Oh yeah. Those are super popular.
Yep. And I think those are, at least the one I'm thinking of is like switchable down to like 5 watts. But yeah, those are great for the small space. It is kind of astounding as soon as how you look for tube amplifiers, the increase in cost for them versus solid state. But obviously, I guess solid state's a lot less expensive to produce, manufacture.
Right. And also to maintain, because they don't really burn out or anything.
Yeah.
They don't have tubes to replace, or valves, as they say in the UK.
I like valves.
I think it sounds cooler.
Yeah, it does.
Gosh, I remember back in, it must have been the late 70s. I lived in Southern California, and my grandfather, who was kind of a jack of all trades, Renaissance man kind of guy, always, building electronics and repairing stuff. And I remember there was a grocery store nearby. And at the front of the grocery store, when you walk in, where there would usually be gumball machines and whatnot, there was a giant machine that was a tube tester. And he would bring, a little box of vacuum tubes, and there was just all of these sockets on the top of this thing. It was like the size of a stove, right? And you put your tubes in, and it would test to see if they were good or not. Talk about old school.
I've seen those, but the ones I've seen are small. They're just like a little smaller than a shoebox.
Oh yeah.
But I guess that's just kind of for checking whatever.
Maybe there were more kinds back then.
4 or 6 tubes at a time only, and not 24 or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I was probably smaller. Maybe it wasn't that big after all. I don't know. Yeah, we were talking about solid state, and I have this PV Studio Pro 112, which is very similar to the PV Bandit 12, and it's got this this old school PV. I think it was still patent pending at the time. It's called trans tube technology. That was tube emulation circuit, and man, you put it on and put it on the clean channel, which is really kind of I play it like it's a tube amp with pedals in the front of it. I don't even use the high gain channel, the lead channel. You would swear that it was tube. It's so responsive and so clean and pure that I didn't really want for another amplifier, but I just wanted to buy a smaller one just so I could have like real tube sound, and it is different.
You know how I was talking about I have different EQs or compressors, for different purposes or genres and things like that, I mean, I have the same mentality like amplifiers and guitars. Each one has their own kind of character.
Yeah.
And each guitar, each amplifier kind of serves a role.
Right.
And I think that I don't think there's one amp that does it all. And I don't like the modeling amps very much. I haven't been happy with any of them that I've had that try to, emulate lots of different things. I guess I've gravitated toward something that does one thing well.
Right.
And have it kind of dedicated to that, and, whatever it may be. And, with regards to guitars, it's like, well, a Stratocaster, it's got Strat tone, and a Tele, and then kind of like a fusion or a rock guitar. That's not a Strat, it doesn't have the Strat tones. It doesn't have the jangliness to it,
it doesn't have that single coil bell sound.
Yeah. And then, although the one guitar that I have that's like that, which is an old Ibanez Sabre, it's probably the most versatile, where I can kind of get between a kind of a Stratocaster and a Telecaster in between there.
Yeah.
And depending, because it's got like it's got a humbucking.
Is it like HSS? Pickup. Is it HSS configuration? Humbucker single. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, those are super versatile.
And each pickup has its own toggle switch for on and off. So I can choose any combination of the 3.
Oh, that's very cool.
With the toggles, which I really like. And I've never seen another guitar like it. And, with the individual toggles for each, and it's got a phase polarity on the volume knob for the humbucker, so I can turn that into a single coil as well.
Oh, that's very cool.
So this guitar has got so many different tones in it because it's so versatile with the way the pickup configurations can be configured. And then other than that, just like hollow body, I got a jazz guitar. I got a couple jazz guitars, and one's just for recording. The other one is my daily player. I never plug it in really. And it sounds really good acoustically. It sits in a stand. I can just grab that whenever.
Yeah, you got to have it out, or you're not going to play it, right?
Yeah.
If you got to pull it out of a case and drag it upstairs, it's just not happening.
Oh man, all my cases are packed away. Every guitar I have is sitting in the stand.
Yeah, I feel like that's how it's got to be. I mean, if you're going to practice regularly, you're not going to be dragging stuff out of a case, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an HSH Charvel Jackson that I like a lot. It's pretty versatile too, although I mostly play it in the in the bridge position. But yeah, it's nice to be able to switch up those tones. But I totally agree that different guitars for different purposes. I always think of the story from, I guess it's from It Might Be Loud, when the U2 was first recording and Edge was there with his Explorer, and they're like, okay, let's we need some more textures. Let's get the other guitar. And he's like, oh, I just have the one.
Yeah. Does anybody out there have like different MIDI controllers for different character?
That's a good question.
Does it matter?
I don't know if it matters for MIDI controllers. Well, I'm sure I know it matters.
Maybe it's more of a feel thing,
for
but
keyboard people, if you have different keyboards that each are synthesizer and have their own character.
Sure, but I'm talking about just a controller,
Well, there is a difference. I do have two. I have a 25 that I bought because I was taking some music theory classes, and it was like all about piano keys and chords. And I can't do this on my computer keyboard. I need an actual keyboard. So I got a 25 key Alice's. And then at the Goodwill, I found this nice M-Audio Oxygen 49 for like $30. And I didn't use it for a long time because it was just too big. But of course, I have it up here. And it is different. It's like, I don't know if it's more sensitive or if it just handles MIDI better or whatever, but it's kind of a joy to play.
I guess there's that, so you've got like what's the velocity sensitivity on the keys and things like that. So, that kind of thing I think could make a difference and have different character for different controllers. It would cause you to have a different feel or vibe and play a little differently depending on which one you're playing on.
I think so. I mean, I think I would pretty much exclusively record with the Oxygen unless I had a need to take the little one somewhere more portably, because it's only like 1.5 feet long. It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that they're all different enough that it would be like having guitar tones. I mean, I got a hollow body, I got a Les Paul, I got the Jackson, I got an acoustic. I mean, in each one is different enough that you wouldn't interchange them without knowing exactly why.
Yeah. Now, like my studio stuff and the actual mastering gear that I have and the guitars and amps. Now, this whole studio varies, conversely to like the live equipment that I have. But I don't focus on live sound engineering like I do in the studio work. I work with one band. I don't do live engineering as a live sound company or anything like that. So I'm a band member with one band basically, and I just do sound for them. And it's a lot of fun. But the whole equipment thing is a completely different perspective for me.
Yeah.
And it definitely, for those that focus solely, I would imagine that the way that they look at their live sound reinforcement gear is akin to the way that I look at the dedicated studio gear and things like that, and how much different equipment can bring, to different bands that you're working with and stuff like that. But I'm working with a single band, and the only thing that really changes is the songs that they're playing.
Sure.
And but it's the same musicians and things like that. So the rack for my live setup is static. I've got a digital effects processor, and what I use is determined by what the band likes for reverb and delay and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Typically on the vocals. So the singer's kind of saying a little bit more reverb,
Of course.
and or whatever. And beyond that, it's EQ, and I've got a drive rack, which I use for setting up the PA system for the room and things like that. That changes every time. However, we use the same PA every time, and so that all of our PA equipment is programmed in there, and I just pull that up, and then it's just a matter of EQing the room. That's the only thing that changes for the, in the EQ. And then on the board, set everything at unity and then go through and adjust the gains. And the EQ section on the board doesn't change much unless there's a difference in the room that I haven't been able to handle in the outboard EQing or something like that. Or as people come in and the EQ of the room changes because the crowd, that might be handled on the board, because sometimes it may not be the whole mix. It might just be, I just lost like the cymbals. They're getting drowned out now because it's all getting absorbed.
I was literally just about to ask you what does change when the room fills up? The high end, the people absorb the high end mostly?
Yeah, for the most part. Yep. It gets more mid-rangey. Yeah, you lose. Yep.
Yeah.
And so you start tweaking up, some of the highs. The singer, I have to work on the singer's vocals, and I think there's most of the work that I do all night long in these gigs and where the changes are happening on the board is with the vocals.
Yeah, that makes sense, because that's the important part, right?
The guitar, the guitar stuff is all about levels and cueing solos and things like that.
Right.
The drums are pretty static. It's just some minor EQ tweaks as the room kind of changes, and just that's just a matter of listening throughout the night, and making adjustments there. But for the most part, it's a completely different beast than working in the studio for me.
Yeah. Now, is the board yours? Do you take your own board with you?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, the board and the rack, and the effects unit's actually the band's, but it's in my rack.
Oh, okay.
And the PA is theirs. Basically, everything is mine from the stage box back.
Yeah,
is my domain. And
but okay, so you have the luxury of being able to say, okay, on your board, which channel is going to be the singer, which channel is going to be the guitarist.
Oh yeah, it's all taped on there. It doesn't change, And so actually everybody knows their assigned channel number. And so those guys will go ahead and plug their microphones into the stage box, into their designated number. And I'll come through and double check things. And then I'll set up, when I'm setting up mics, and basically just cleaning up wires and stuff like that. And running monitors.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's everybody's got an assigned channel, and it stays. It's the same every gig.
Yeah, I've never done live sound, but I'm always like peeking in the back to see what's going on at clubs and stuff. And in a place where it's a dedicated venue, the board doesn't change; it stays there all the time. I imagine they do the same thing, sort of. They'll put the lead singer in one channel that they know it's going to be there, and they'll put the backup mics and other dedicated channels, and just so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel every night. That wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. I mean, with us, everybody helps set up and everybody helps tear down. We don't have roadies. It's just we're playing clubs, and
right.
when we can, outdoor venues that are like town festivals and things like that in the summertime, and the beer festival and things like that.
Now, those would be interesting, because I imagine that,
they have beer.
Well, yeah, they have beer. Now, I was picturing different sound guys coming in and out, but maybe they don't. Maybe they have one person dedicated for the whole show.
Sometimes they do. And sometimes I might run sound on the venue equipment if it's set up, but that's about like 1% of the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm picturing all the different scenarios, but maybe they're not as varied as I thought.
Some of these festivals, they have it's bigger. They have a festival engineer, and they'll have like a monitoring engineer, and those guys are working all day long for the bands. In those cases, I would probably come up and either run the board, or I would be standing with the festival engineer and working with him, through the band, because he doesn't know the band. And so I might actually, he just may make sure it's all set up correctly for me because I'm not familiar with his equipment.
Yeah.
And then I would run the board, once he's got everything set up. But that doesn't, there's only one of those a year, so it's.
Wow, this is starting to, just talking about this and thinking about clubs, this is getting me all excited to go back and listen to some real live music in person again.
Yeah, well, with all of the vaccines now, the gigs are starting to get scheduled.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I feel like people are seeing the end in sight here for most of the stuff that's been going on over the last year, which is fantastic. I think that by this fall, things will be relatively normal-ish.
Yeah.
Remember last like a year ago when we were doing this podcast and we went into lockdown and people thought it was going to be like 2 weeks and you and I were like, yeah, no, this is going to be a good 6 months easily. I still didn't think it was going to be over a year, but
no,
I also didn't anticipate that so many people would, have a problem being safe.
Right. And I also don't have like a whole lot of confidence that it's still not going to be a problem even after vaccinations.
Oh, it will. But there will be when all the people who are going to get vaccinated, there will be enough of a herd immunity at that point, I believe, that it'll just run its course like a flu. I'm hoping, unless and I don't want to think about this, unless it gets kept alive in the anti-vax community well enough that it has variants that spin off and override the vaccinated immunity. That would be then we would just be dealing this for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Let's not think about that. That's
oh man, I just hit rock bottom, man.
Let's bounce back up. Live music. Oh man.
But anyway, that was what I was thinking about as far
I may
as
just cut that old part out.
And to answer your question, why did I want to get this amp? Because it has what I hope to be a character that's going to fulfill a little niche, and that's how I kind of look at all the equipment in here. That it's all kind of a niche orientated, purposeful component to achieving some end.
Yeah, as long as you're not filling every niche in your studio with niche stuff.
Well, don't step in. Don't get in my way here, man. Because
I know you got full on corners that could be filled up with stacks of things.
Look at that space over
there.
Look
at that space. That space needs another amp.
And this space over here needs a plant, and that space over there needs a freaking lava lamp, man. So
yeah, you gotta get a lava lamp.
And I need hanging light, like string lights.
Yeah, your studio, man, it's looking pretty fly already. I'm really curious to see when you get it all tricked out with the ambiance.
But, yeah, I haven't even begun an ambiance yet, and I still have some diffusion work to do.
Oh yeah,
and I have a couple of clouds that I want to hang. So I don't know what comes first. What comes first, ambience or acoustics?
Well, if the acoustics determine where the ambiance goes, but it'll be it's a working studio already. You're already out there spending time. I feel like I would start working some ambiance in. Certainly, you lost your plants, didn't you? You accidentally set your plants on the mantle and they got appropriated.
Yeah, because I didn't have lighting figured out. I bought the plants, but I didn't know what I was going to do about lighting for the plants yet. And so I said, well, I'll just put them here on the fireplace mantle for now. And it was like, I put them in and it was like, wow, those look really good on the mantle. And then my wife came in and she's like, oh, those look fantastic there. And now I can't,
they can't ever go away.
I'm like, well, we could leave them there if you want to buy me a couple plants,
Oh, that's so funny.
I just spent.
They got assimilated.
Yeah, $65 on plants. Nice snake plants, low light, requirements, and they look
upstairs. Well, at least you know what kind you can get.
Just
for
dreaming of
downstairs.
the oxygen that I could be having right now.
I have one little fake plant in here.
Now you have windows. Why would
I was going to
you
say,
have
if
a
I
window?
need oxygen, I just got to open a window. Not while I'm recording, though.
Yeah, but you got natural light.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Put a plant in there, man. Because you will forget to water it, won't you?
I might overwater it. Actually, you know what? I have a plant. I don't know where I would put it. I'd have to set it on top of an amp or something, and then I'd be afraid I would get water in the amp.
Now, do you drink bottled water?
I am currently drinking bottled water. I'm drinking Pellegrino right now. Yeah.
Okay. The trick is to drink all but like the last couple of ounces of your bottled water, and then that's your plant water.
Well, the other trick is, and I find this works even better, and this is why I got a plant for my office at work, is I drink a lot of tea, and I usually drink it down to almost all the way down when, like, by the time it's cold and I'm done with it, there's, a quarter of an inch of tea, and then that becomes the plant water. And so it's got some nutrients in it, and I didn't want it anyway, and plant's happy to have it. Plants seem to like green tea.
Now, one thing that we did, it didn't get a chance to really go there because the conversation didn't go that way. But I wanted to report that Asia has become the official Resonance Mastering Studio dog.
Oh.
And she hangs out. She's here. She's been here this whole episode as we're recording.
Really?
She hangs out with me underneath the desk.
Quietly.
She absolutely loves it when there's music playing in here.
Nice.
And she has just become the studio intern.
That's very cool.
It is cool. She doesn't chew on anything.
I'm so impressed that she's that quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. She's been right here next to me the whole show.
Nice.
It's really nice to have a little companion here in the studio with.
How cool. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
But anyway, yeah, Asia is also, what was she? She's got to be 50 pounds now.
Oh, my
at
goodness.
least. We're not sure where she's going to end up, but we kind of estimate it's going to be somewhere around 100,
Oh, my goodness.
120, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah,
Big
there's
girl.
the Asia update. She's doing awesome.
Well, cool.
Well, anyway, man.
Yeah, I think
guess
that's
kind of it.
I think we that one's run its
That
course.
awkward silence that you'll cut out and post.
Exactly. I've gotten really quick at cutting out the awkward silence.
There's probably a plug-in for that.
Snip, snip. Is there? Yeah, there probably is. I'm sure it'll go on sale next week on Waves. Wave sale of the week. But wait, there's more.
But I wonder, it'll probably like go on sale like the day after your coupon expires.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can't combine the sale and the coupon together.
Yep. Been there, done that. All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest
All right,
of the
everybody.
evening. And everybody.
Listeners, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. Leave
Subscribe.
us subscribe. Hit that subscribe bell. Leave us a review on iTunes. Tell your friends.
Do they have subscribe bells?
No,
on
they
iTunes?
don't have. I just, I don't know. I listen on Spotify. I don't know. I don't know what
Now,
they have.
people
on
are going to be
iTunes.
going looking for us on YouTube now. It's like, no, we're not.
We're not there. Should we be there? I don't know.
It sounds awful.
It does. The sound quality is not great. Anyway.
Well, I mean, it sounds awful having to do the
Oh,
extra work to get it out there.
Also that. I'm tired just thinking about it.
All right. Yeah. Leave us a review, please. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Have a great week, everybody. We appreciate you.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Indie Music Podcast. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, or just leave us a review on iTunes if you like what you've heard. Find our social links and episode guide at indiemusiccast.com. Until next time, keep creating.